guided. And when I was asked to speak, I thought, what am I going to say? What does that mean to me? Anyone here ever thought that you are guided? Well, maybe some of you have, and that's a great thing. So I'm going to tell you some stories about how I became aware later on in my life of having been or having been guided. The first story took place when I was 3 years old. I was a sick child, and my dad was struggling to find people to take care of me because I cried all the time, and I was just sick. So at this time, I'm living at a place with my Aunt Rose. And it's late in the evening, and the wind woke me up. And as I woke up, the moon was shining into the room, and the branches from the tree were just waving on the wall. And lo and behold, it scared me. It scared me to no end, and I thought, it's a monster. So I walked downstairs, and remember, this happened in 1947, so some of you may remember what the phones looked like in those days. They were on the wall, and I had seen my aunt pick up the phone and turn the wheel. So I picked up the phone, I turned the wheel, and lo and behold, a voice at the other end said, hello. I said, Maton. That was how I called my aunt. Maton, I'm scared. And the voice knew who that was. She said, don't worry, it's Claude. My aunt will be there in a few minutes. And sure enough, a few minutes later, she walked into the front door, she picked me up and hugged me and made me feel safe. And, it was good. She said, you know what? I'll pour a nice warm bath for you, just so that you feel that much better. So we go upstairs, and she's kneeling on the floor, preparing the water for the bath. And I'm walking back and forth and talking to myself, like kids do, just walking, and lo and behold, I hit the toilet and I fell in the toilet, and she reached over and she flushed it. Well, son of a gun. This is the true story, guys. I thought I was going to go down the drain. Oh, talk about fear showing up again. It was terrible. So she picked me up again, hooked me, put me in the bath, and made me feel comfortable. And when I think about this adventure at 3 years old, for me it's like it happened yesterday. So going down the stairs, picking up the phone, turning the wheel, there's no doubt in my mind I was guided. I was guided to just seek what I needed to get in order to be safe. No doubt. So later on in life, I was 12 years old, and my dad had remarried to this lady who was, not the best stepmother that you can think of. And there are many stories about those kind of stepmothers. And anyway, at age 12, I was planning to run away from home. And I'm sitting along the river thinking, I was crying and I was sweating and my eyes were burning. And I was thinking, what's the matter? Why can't I have any friends? Why does she treat me this way? Why am I here? What's life all about? And all of a sudden, like out of the blue, this breeze came by. And if you know what a nice cool breeze feels like on a hot summer day, wow, it was so soothing. And all of a sudden, I could hear the water flow in the river. I could hear the birds sing. I could smell the flowers. And the thought came to mind. The thought was, I know what I have to do. All I have to do is understand all I can about life. Now, what 12-year-old would come up with a thought like that? Ask yourself that. That was a guided There's no doubt in my mind, and to this day, I still seek to understand all I can about life. And it's a good way to be. I love being that way. Oh my goodness. Stories go on and on. I'll tell you about an adventure that took place when I was working on the demolition of a bridge in Campbell Ford, Ontario. And I was one of these guys, you know, who always figures out a way of doing something which is out of the ordinary. And have you seen those bascule span bridges that stand up? So we had to stand up this thing and demolish it. And the crane was late getting to the site. So I said to the superintendent, I said, you know what? If we anchor the tug at the other side of the canal, we'll put a pulley at the first pier, a pulley at the top, and we'll start taking down the beams. He said, good idea. I was 18 years old at the time. So we started with that process. And then, for some reason or other, the cable came off the pulley at the first pier. So I go on top of the pier to check it out. I put the cable back in, and I signaled the tugboat operator to tighten up the winch. And as he did that, I kind of noticed that it did that, and I just bent over. And the 4-inch pin in the pier sheared right off. It took my hard hat off my head, knocked me on my back, and I still remember my hat spinning around that cable. If that's not guided, I don't know what it is. I really don't. Because if I hadn't bent down, this cable was taking the head off my shoulder. What an adventure. Shortly after, I'm guiding a machine to push a trailer off, well, the back wheels that ended up in a manhole. And so I'm signaling this guy to pick up the back of the truck so he doesn't break the tail lights. And as he did that and pushed ahead, I noticed that the machine was kind of leaning in a bad way, and I don't know, I just ran that way. Bingo, and the machine toppled over. And after that happened, I kind of felt something in my back. I took my jacket off, and there was a long crease of grease at the back of my jacket. A split second later, I would have been crushed by this machine. If that's not being guided, I don't know what it is. Now, I am sure that each and every one of you has, if you think about your own life, and you think as far back as you can, you will remember times, adventures, when you were guided. I've come to the conclusion that we live a completely guided life. Sometimes we like to think that we're the person in charge of ourselves, but holy smoke. And maybe we're not. In 1995, I was riding my motorcycle back from work to go to a baseball game on a 3-lane highway in Gatineau, Quebec. And traffic was a little too slow for my taste, so I cranked it up for wide open. It was a big bike. Lean it over to pass, and as I did that, the front wheel hit a crevice in the asphalt, a small one. But it sent my wheel into a front wheel wobble, uncontrollable. Whoa! Cranked down the gas, and the next thing I know, I crashed into the center barrier. I remember being in the air, and I'm sure angels carried me to a soft landing. I am sure of it. I did not break a single bone. I lost skin inside my jacket, inside my pants, my face. Helmet came off, face was like this. No broken bone. Now, why do these things happen to me? One after the other, the other, the other. I'm thinking, after doing this talk, I'm thinking, I live a guided life. Wouldn't you agree? Isn't that crazy? There are many other ways that we're guided, other than just outrageous experiences like that. Maybe they don't happen to everyone, but, and I have quite a few more, but that's for another day. There's another way that we are guided. We are guided in our relationships. And I'm thinking of my relationships with the men that I managed in construction. I'm thinking of my relationships with the upper management that thought I was rather an arrogant Frenchman type affair. And what I come to conclude is that the most important part about relationships, be it with spouses, be it with your children, be it with your friends, be it at work, the most important part of any relationship is what you learn about yourself. That's the guided part of it. That is the guided part of our life in relationships. And I tell you, all relationships are not top-notch, We all go through that. There's no exception in this room. There is no exception. And what do we learn about ourselves in the hard times of relationships, in the good times of relationships? Wow. I love being guided. Sometimes you might think, being guided is taking responsibility of my shoulders, but no. I think it's an awareness. It's an awareness that really brings into focus what life is all about. It brings into focus that in order to mature, in order to grow, we just don't do it on our own. Why should we think that we do it on our own? We do not. Let's appreciate, let's be grateful for the fact that we become aware that we are guided in life. And it's great. It's great to think that. It's great to feel that. Another way that we get guided is through books. Everything we need to know about life is in print already. The only difficulty with that is that a little bit's in that book, a little bit's in that book, a little bit's in this book. You know what? What books do we read? Well, I was blessed to be guided, to start reading in my teen years. I remember the first books that I read were written by a Tibetan monk, T. Lobsang Rampa, and 13 books. His books were titled The First Candle, The Second Candle, The Third Candle, and wow, did that ever resonate with me? I was, my 18 years old maybe. I still have these books at home. They're like a treasure. They are. And the stuff that I learned from these books just brought me into a place of wanting to read more and more and more. And then at the age of 18, I came across this poem by Rudyard Kipling. You will be a man, my son. Now this poem was written in French, but at the time that I read it, I don't remember it by heart, but I do remember what it did for me. It certainly gave me a set of values that I could follow. A set of values that I determined to live by, because I wanted to be a man. I was a teenager at the time. So if I'm going to be a man, I better follow those rules. And then years went on, and I came across, as you are looking for some answers about things, a book falls on your lap. Literally. Literally. You walk into the store and you say, oh, that looks interesting. You pick this up. That's being guided. When you see a title on a book that attracts you, be thankful. Okay, I gotta check this out. You get the book, you open it up. It doesn't matter if you only read one chapter, because you go to the table of contents, and sure enough, oh, that's interesting. You'll read that chapter, and the way you go, you have been guided. into learning something new. We don't grow by our own steam. Let's be thankful for that. Let's be thankful to the fact that, the song said it. The song that Patty sang, this invisible hand is always at work, is always with us. It feels good to know that, right?